In the meantime, the speculation continues about the possible vice presidential pick for Democratic candidate Joe Biden. In recent weeks, the former vice president has been vetting potential contenders. Some names that have been mentioned are Senators Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren, as well as former Georgia State Rep and gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and even Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth. Joining us right now to talk about that and more, Suzanne Chad, Associate Professor of Political Science at North Central College. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's good to see you both.
Nice to see you. Okay, so the president said, the Democratic national presidential candidate says that he wants to pick a VP who's a woman, a female. And due to the current events, do you think that a black woman should be there instead of a white woman? And let me ask you this. House Majority Whip Representative James Clyburn says that's not a must, but a plus. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been so interesting to watch all this unfold with the VP pick. Before some of the most recent events, there's been a lot of discussion about, the certain kind of characteristics of the woman that Biden will be looking for, saying that he's going to appoint a woman, of course. I think now is a time for the party to take a stand and say, this is who we are and this is the direction we're going. And one of the things that's important about that is showing that different types of people who haven't had access to a representation in the highest levels of office, it's time for them to have that representation. It's a good role model effect. It shows what the party values. It can mobilize groups of voters, and in some ways could even make them think differently about Joe Biden, increase his popularity, and help his chances to win.
So this is always an important pick, but perhaps even more so this year given Joe Biden's age. A lot of people are watching this carefully. It's also important to energize a campaign. What do you think Biden needs the most with this pick?
No, it's a great question. I mean, the research tells us that the VP pick typically doesn't have a large effect on turnout or who wins. But to your point, I think this year is different. I think with Biden saying he's only going to serve one term, who he chooses is most likely going to be the presumptive nominee in 2024. And so that's a careful pick for the party to think, who do they want to represent the party moving into the next cycle? I think picking a woman of color is especially important when we look at how voters can be mobilized to go to the polls in ways maybe they didn't for Hillary Clinton. But more importantly, it really is Biden needs to pick somebody that embodies the future of the party. What does the party stand for? Who can get behind that party? And what policies are we likely to see because of that?
So do you think it should be a new face, a fresh face? I mean, we heard that Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams has been vetted. We know that Elizabeth Warren has been vetted. We know that Senator Tammy Duckworth has been vetted. But we also have heard some other names like Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan and also Susan Rice, Obama's former national security advisor.
Yeah. So I think we take a little bit of a cue from 2008 when John McCain picked Sarah Palin. That was a huge overture to women to try to get them to turn out for him. And we saw that inexperience backfire. And so I think here, it's not about how long you've served or where you've served necessarily, but it's that can you demonstrate that you have the experience necessary to come in and then potentially come into the Oval Office 4 years later. I think the women on the list you just mentioned all have that experience. Stacey Abrams in particular, because she doesn't carry a lot of federal policy baggage with her because she hasn't served in federal office before, I think serves her well in this case. And so I think that one of the most important things is going to be, even if it's a fresh face, which I think is important for the future of the party, that it is somebody who has that experience to come in and show that they know what they're doing right away.
At this point, who do you think decides this election? Which block of voters?
Oh my gosh. So it's a great question. And what the polls are telling us, and I will say it's early to put a lot of stock in polls, but I think what we're seeing now is that a lot of the voters Hillary Clinton didn't do as well with, who switched to Trump, Biden's doing much better with. So older voters, rural voters, non-college educated white men, those are the bread and butter of an election. And with Biden doing better with them, it frees up a little bit then when we look at the VP pick, for example, if he picks a person of color, for those who maybe, have those racist tendencies, have that hostile racism that are not excited about that, it frees them up a little there. And I will just add that while we know that Black voters turn out for Democrats, they didn't turn out as much in the last couple of elections, and having a woman of color to be his VP could then mobilize those voters and tip tip it over the edge in Biden's favor.
You mentioned Sarah Palin. We know how that turned out with McCain's campaign. How important is vetting? You know, a lot of people say that he should have vetted Sarah Palin a little bit more. How important is for him to vet these VP candidates?
It's incredibly important, right? We know that. I will just go back a bit to say, you know, John McCain was thinking of picking Joe Lieberman, reaching across the aisle, spent a lot of time vetting him. When it turned out that wasn't going to be the case, then he sort of had to quickly vet Palin and missed a lot of stuff there. And I think a lot of presidential candidates have learned from that. I think especially in the time of social media, you know, everything lives, digging through and finding things that people have said previously, positions they've held, is incredibly important because those things always come back around.
All right, Suzanne Chott, thank you very much. Associate Professor of Political Science at North Central College. Always wonderful having you.
Oh, thanks, guys. Take good care.